The 401k plans that have become the primary source of retirement income for 60 million Americans were never designed to be retirement plans in the first place. They were created in the late 1970s as a savings plan and tax shelter for ordinary Americans. The idea was that workers would make voluntary contributions and employers would match a portion of it. The taxes would be deferred until the employee reached the age of 59 and a half. It was supposed to supplement the two traditional income streams for retirees, Social Security and pensions, one leg of a three-legged stool that would support American workers into their golden years. But it didn't turn out that way.
The three-legged stool, if you will, has gone to two legs, and it's wobbly, and I'm not sure that it's going to support anything. And that's the scary part, and people are afraid.
Brooks Hamilton has helped design retirement plans for some of the country's largest corporations. He says 401ks turned out to be so much cheaper than funding pensions, many companies decided to freeze their pension plans and replace them with 401ks. The decision created millions of new employee investors for Wall Street and the financial community, and they pounced on the opportunity.
You go back and track the mutual fund growth in assets, and you track the growth in 401k plans, it looks like a railroad track. They are parallel tracks.
So the big beneficiaries were the mutual funds.
That's right.
Somebody says, hey, I got $1 million in my 401k. I say, great. How much of that is yours? They go, what do you mean? It's all mine. I go, it's not yours. You got a partner. In fact, you're the limited partner. The general partner is the federal government. And you have no idea how much they're going to take from you. Like right now it's 38, 39% they're going to take. What happens when it goes to 50, 60, 70% like in the past, or up to 90% as we did in the 1950s? Yeah. The marginal tax rate was 90%. You have no idea how much of that money is yours. Why don't you put it into something that you can control, that you know it's yours? But that 401k, you have no idea how much of that money is yours.
Book, and in doing it, I learned so much about the abuse that happens to the average person. It's mind-boggling.
Well, specifically, you are a board member at America's Best 401k.
Yes.
And you've specifically looked into the fees that people pay at 401ks and the fact that most people don't even know that they pay a fee.
This is the most amazing thing. It's a $4.4 trillion industry that for 30 years, they didn't have to tell you what they were charging you. Only 3 years ago, the Department of Labor changed the rules and said you got to tell people what you charge them. So now they do that by giving you a 35 or 50-page disclosure document that if you have a PhD in finance, maybe you can figure out the hidden fees.
Yeah, good luck.
So here's what you have to know. Most people, 58% of the people don't even think there are any fees. I did 3 core messages for your viewer. 1, fees matter and you're paying them. A 1% in fee, because of the compounding over time, costs you 10 years of retirement income. The average person thinks they're paying less than 1% or nothing, and they're paying 3.1%. That's 30 years of fees. So I'll give you an example. If you have a 35-year-old person, they have $100,000, and they put it in the market, and they let it compound for 30 years till they're going to retire, and they're paying 1% in fees, they have $761,000, which is a nice growth from that time. But if you paid 3% in fees for the same stocks, you have $432,000. So now
have a 401k, 403b, 457, IRA, a retirement plan. You need to listen very carefully. The information that I'm about to tell you, no one comes to your employer to give you this particular information. You have to know the difference between an unsecured account versus a secured account. A unsecured account is any type of account where you can actually lose, like a 401k, 403b, 457, TSP. When the market goes up, you make money. But when the market goes down, you lose money. In 2008, people's 401ks turned into 201ks. They lost half of their retirement. Listen, you guys, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. The market makes a correction every 8 to 9 years. So think about it. Post-pandemic, not only that, recession, the market is very volatile. You want to make sure you protect your retirement. I'm going to show you how to avoid market risk from going from an unsecured account to a secured account without losing zero.
And my concern is the pensions are in trouble because they're loaded with bonds also. And my generation, the boomers, was trying to retire. So this is the perfect storm in many ways. So like I said again, I think the Fed and the FDIC signaled they're going to print again, which makes stocks good. But this little, and my prediction, I called Lehman Brothers years ago, and I think the next bank to go is Credit Suisse. And if that happens, Japan.
Because of its exposure to a lot of this?
Yes, because the bond market is crashing. All those bonds, let's say you get for years, it kept dropping interest rates, and now Powell's raising it. The real problem is the bond market's crashing. And the bond market is systemic, as you know. I mean, I'm concerned about IRAs, pension plans, and all that. So this is more than I'm concerned, should I say.
Let me make your own retirement as simple as I can. The ultimate success of your retirement is going to depend on your answer to these two questions. And I'm not going to ask how big your 401k is. Do you have a big investment account, or do you have a fancy house? No, because the success of your retirement is not about your assets. It is not about your assets. Now, this is a paradigm shift, because we've been taught that the success of our retirement is going to be how big we can build that pile of money. And the bigger the pile of money, the better our retirement. That's not true. Your assets can be lost, they can be stolen, they can be swindled, they can be sued, they can be divorced, they can be decimated in a market crash. In fact, if you think about it, your assets are simply numbers on a piece of paper. Think about it. And for the rest of your life, those numbers on that piece of paper are only ever going to do two things for you. You are either going to spend that money, or you're going to give that money. That's it. You're either going to spend it, or you're going to give it. You're either going to give it when you're alive, or you're going to give it when you die. So when you really study the math and science behind retirement, it comes down to this. What is the most efficient way for me to get the most amount of income that I can spend and 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 never run out? And what's the most efficient way for me to give money to others? And what you're going to find is the most efficient way to get the most amount of income that you can spend and spend and spend and spend and spend and never run out is going to be some form of an annuity. And the most efficient way to give money to others is going to be some form of life insurance. So the ultimate success and what you're going to find is the most efficient way to get the most amount of income that you can spend and spend and spend and spend and spend and never run out is going to be some form of an annuity. And the most efficient way to give money to others is going to be some form of life insurance. So the ultimate success of your retirement is going to come down to your answers to these two questions. How much guaranteed lifetime income do you have? Not what was your rate of return on your stock portfolio? Did you get 13% or 10%? That has nothing to do with it. How much guaranteed lifetime income do you have? And have you taken those key retirement risks that we've been talking about off the table? Yeah. So let me try to put everything we've talked about this week into 4 simple steps. If people would follow these 4 simple steps, and this is really the conclusion of Paychecks and Playchecks, here are the 4 simple steps. Step number 1, you want to cover your basic expenses with guaranteed lifetime income. So the first step is to decide how much money do you need to live your normal retirement. You subtract out your Social Security, because that's a guaranteed paycheck for life. It's a lifetime income annuity. You subtract out your pension, because that's a lifetime income annuity. But whatever that shortfall is, that's where the annuity fits. That's not where stocks fit. That's not where bonds fit. That's not where real estate fits. That's not where CDs. That's where the annuity fits, to cover those basic expenses with guaranteed lifetime income. But here's why. Because you take these risks off the table. You take longevity risk off the table. It's a guaranteed paycheck for the rest of your life. You take deflation risk, because if you're getting a check and things actually go down in a depressionary environment, one of the best things to own in a Great Depression, there's no market risk, no withdrawal rate risk, no order of return risk. You took 5 key risks off the table simply by covering your basic expenses with guaranteed lifetime income. Step 2, you want to optimize the rest of your portfolio to protect yourself against inflation. Inflation is another big risk. And so this other money that you've got, that should go into stocks or bonds or real estate or commodities, or you can buy inflation protection guaranteed with a lifetime income annuity. Step 3, you must have a plan for long-term care. No retirement plan is complete without a plan for long-term care. It's the one risk that people forget about that can wipe out their life's work. And step 4, the most efficient way for you to pass your wealth to your children, grandchildren, and charities is with permanent life insurance. I say this all the time, Steve. Don't leave your kids any money. Don't leave your kids any money. Don't leave your kids any money. Spend your money. Leave them life insurance.